In the web of Black Widow, we find ourselves in New York at a gala as a bunch of rich people are partying, having a good time. This party is also attended by Natasha Romanoff, who's in disguise, while at the same time, an assassin is seemingly stalking their prey. But as the party goes on, Natasha runs into none other than Tony Stark. Natasha requests a dance, and Tony reluctantly accepts, wondering what Natasha is doing here. But everything Natasha's doing seems to be shrouded in secrecy as they think back to their first dance. But Natasha warns Tony to stay away before slipping away, while Tony wonders if Natasha drugged him again. Natasha makes her way upstairs and then proceeds to share a drink with the surveillance operator before the surveillance operator slips unconscious. Natasha makes her way into the surveillance room and then proceeds to pull out a USB stick and download crucial data. Natasha thinks back to her time at the Red Room, where she developed her skills as an assassin, and those skills were sold to the highest bidder. But elsewhere, as an assassin stalks her prey, with target in sight, she zeroes him, making this guy no longer. But now, back at the gala, they're proceeding to move forward with a presentation. And unfortunately for Natalia, they've gotten wind that the surveillance operator has been put down. Security mercenaries proceed to make their way to the surveillance room, weapons in hand. But as they surround the surveillance room, the door gets blown off. Natasha springs out, leaving nothing but bodies in her wake. But one of the mercs managed to grab her hair. Luckily, it's just a wig. Up on the roof, Natasha is confronted by Iron Man, who seemingly doesn't know what she's up to. Natalia reminisces on her history, a history that appears to be shrouded in secrets. Natasha had lost her memory as she was resurrected from the dead. But as her memory came back, there are certain fragments that seem to be intentionally missing. Iron Man wants to help Natasha, but as he reaches out for her, unfortunately, this is just a hologram. As Natasha evades Iron Man, we would next find her deep underwater. As Natasha swims through international waters, she proceeds to infiltrate a boat that is actually where a crypto launch party is taking place. As Natasha blends with the crowd, she thinks back to her time at the Red Room. As it is true, money is a type of power. But as stated, there are some secrets that money simply cannot buy. This was instilled in Natasha as she trained in the Red Room, as you can see the Winter Soldier in the background. As one of the influencers interviews Miss Collins, who's a major part of the event, they talk about her major successes as well as the dark past of the murder of her parents that was never solved. But elsewhere, Natasha walks through the boat, barefooted, in a bikini. As the crowd is distracted, Natasha proceeds to jump overboard and then grab onto a window. As Natasha infiltrates the window, she runs into none other than the Winter Soldier. Natasha's about to beat Bucky's ass, but Bucky lets her know he's not here to fight. He's simply wondering what she's up to. Natasha reminisces with Bucky on a job they both trained for. Typical assassin stuff. A lot of blood, bodies, and horror. But now, as Bucky confronts Natasha, he wonders if that's what this is about, righting old wrongs. Natasha says yeah, and exorcising old ghosts. But as Bucky just wants to talk, Natasha tells him it was never just talking between them two, as it would appear that not only did Natasha and Bucky train together, but Natasha used to get her cheeks clapped by the Winter Soldier. As Bucky continues to talk to Natasha, Natasha just hits him, and then the two of them proceed to start duking it out. But elsewhere, a woman that appears to be the Black Widow finds her target and assassinates him. She then proceeds to leave an explosive device behind. As Bucky and Natasha's fight spill out into the hallway, security gets involved, but they're quickly dispatched by the Black Widow. As Bucky continues to talk to Natasha, there's a massive thud, and then the ship seemingly starts sinking. Bucky asks Natasha, what did she do? Natasha tells him so many things before proceeding to jump out a window. But as Natasha escapes the sinking ship, she sees what appears to be herself on a boat making an escape. In Simcaria, present day, a woman returns to her apartment with groceries. But as she enters her domain, she notices the place has been infiltrated by none other than the Black Widow. Natasha thinks back to their time many years ago at the Red Room. They both trained together to become assassins. But elsewhere in Trinaya, a group of highly armed security personnel are expecting the Black Widow as they hear a boom outside. Apparently, a car has exploded, serving as the perfect diversion for the place to get infiltrated. Natasha tosses a smoke bomb and then pops out and proceeds to neutralize all the targets in the room. Natasha is accompanied by Yelena, who wonders why she needed help on this job. But that will all become apparent later as the two ladies change into their disguise. As Natasha and Yelena make their way through the facility, they're confronted by more security. Natasha and Yelena make short work of all the security as they think back to their time at the Red Room. Natasha and Yelena trained together for infiltration missions just like this. But now some of these vaults have become a lot more sophisticated as far as technology goes. But that doesn't stop the Black Widow. As Natasha gets the information she needs, the alarms start blaring. Natasha knows it wasn't them because this is the work of someone far messier. As Natasha and Yelena make their way through the executive suites, they finally find the imposter who unfortunately has already killed the VIP. Natasha and Yelena attempt to capture the imposter, but during the ensuing struggle, Yelena gets kicked out the window. Luckily, Natalia managed to grab her before she falls, but unfortunately, this results in the imposter getting away. Yelena Yelena now understands why Natasha brought her, as now Natasha has a witness to someone wearing her face. Natasha tells her that, and it's helpful to know that you aren't involved, as Yelena is also a spider that was trained in the Red Room. Later, back in New York City, we find Natalia on a rooftop as she appears to have been wounded. Natalia crouches down and then proceeds to pull an arrow out of her side. Earlier that day, Natasha would be taking refuge at Matt Murdock's place until the heat dies down, as a bunch of people have seemingly died by her hands. But little do they know, it's an imposter wearing Natasha's face. Natasha lets herself out as she thinks she knows the assassin's next target. But as Natasha proceeds, she's confronted by Clint. Hawkeye's here to apprehend Natasha, but Natasha tells him to just trust her. But Clint thinks back to how he's gotten himself into more than a few sticky situations by simply following Natasha. Hawkeye and Black Widow's relationship goes all the way back to Clint's first appearance in Iron Man Tales of Suspense, issue 57 and 58. But now Clint's not going for it, as he proceeds to attempt to apprehend Natasha before someone else does. Natasha dodges Hawkeye's arrow, and then her and Clint proceed to duke it out. Clint manages to grab hold of Natasha, but Natasha stuns him, seemingly knocking him out. Moments later, as imposter Natasha is making her way through the street, she enters a building and then proceeds to zero the security guard. But Natasha is hot on her trail, as Natasha is on a rooftop, sniper in hand. Natasha trains her sight on the imposter as she can see her target. But before she can take the shot, Natasha ends up shot in the side by an arrow. Hawkeye finally catches up to Natasha and then proceeds to grab her. But Natasha elbows him in the chin and then proceeds to jump off the roof. As Natasha is seemingly wounded badly, she pulls the arrow out of her side before getting confronted by Hawkeye once again. Hawkeye is seemingly attempting to apprehend her, but Natasha just won't go quietly. Hawkeye shoots the gun out of Natasha's hand, but as quickly as that happens, both of them catch shots from none other than the imposter. As Clint gets incapacitated, Natasha finally realizes the imposter is none other than Anya, another longtime assassin from the Red Room. As Natasha has seemingly been outsmarted by Anya, Anya lets her know she's been watching her for a while and she hasn't disappointed. The poor innocent spy that only makes herself look more guilty with every choice she makes. Anya wonders if she has any friends left. Anya tells Natasha she had a special virus produced just for her. It was made out of Epsilon Red's own DNA. It was designed to block access to implanted memories upon Natasha transferring to a new body. Anya hoped it would erase every last bit of Natasha, but it didn't. Natasha thanks Anya for the information before Anya gets hit with a flashbang. Natasha springs into action, knocking the sniper right out of Anya's hand. Natasha is then reinforced by none other than Iron Man. Clint is also alive, with Anya wondering why the heroes would be helping a murderer. But Natasha has been one step ahead of Anya the whole time, as during her initial encounter with Iron Man, they only made it seem as if there was an altercation. Meanwhile, Natasha was watching Anya from the shadows. Back at the Avengers safe house, Natasha would let Stark know that there's an imposter wearing her face. And the game needs to be played very delicately as Natasha still doesn't have full access to her lost memories. As Anya realizes she got played, Natasha is backed up by the Winter Soldier as well as Yelena. See, where Anya fucked up is she was so accustomed to the deceptive nature instilled in Black Widow as an assassin from the Red Room, she never anticipated Natasha would actually decide to trust her friends. Anya is pissed off and she attempts to spray the group with a hellstorm of bullets before disappearing over the rooftop. But the group is in hot pursuit, with Natasha letting them know she's got her. Natasha confronts Anya on the rooftop as Anya is once again wearing her face. The two ladies proceed to duke it out, two Black Widows fighting each other until Anya seemingly gets the upper hand. Anya tells Natasha she should have brought her friends, but Natasha tells her she brought exactly what she needs as Anya catches a Captain America shield to the face. Natasha thanks Cap, but she also lets him know she had everything under control. Cap asks her if she could finally take some time off, but she tells him never as she proceeds to head to Stark's laboratory, as now that they know how her memory was corrupted, the process to reverse that corruption will be a lot easier. Natasha lies down on the chair as she goes into a comatose state as she scrolls through her memory bank, reliving all the lost memories of the past. The end. Thank you for watching.